So it's a beautiful day out here today. It's a perfect day to cut the grass. But don't worry, if you're lucky, all hope isn't lost. So this is my John Deere 100 series riding lawnmower. So it's about 25 years old, a little older than that. And this is an LA 165. And it is powered by a 24 horsepower Briggs & Stratton 2-cylinder engine. And they are a bit notorious for having this issue. Now there are a couple of other things it could be. It could be your starter. That could be an expensive fix. It could be your battery. If your battery is too low, it's not going to turn over these big motors. These are pretty high compression motors. You want to make sure your battery is good. So if you know your starter is okay and you know your battery is okay, there is one other thing that goes wrong here, and that's the valve clearance. Believe it or not, something as simple as valve clearance will stop these bigger motors from turning over. So there are two things you can do about that. One is a very simple, I would say, temporary get around of the issue, and I'll show you what that is. Now this works, it doesn't damage anything, and you're completely fine doing this. So let's have a look at what's happening. So we're just going to try to start it here first. And it won't go all the way over. Probably 3/4 of the time, at least 3/4 of the time, it's not going to start. So I'll show you a little trick to get around that. You're not completely out of business. There's no big repairs that need to be done, and you can be up and running in just a few seconds. So all you need to do is push your flywheel backwards. You'll feel it. You'll feel it go past the compression stroke and then go one more time. Now it's free there. You've got that big area that's almost a full turn that's free. And now we'll try to start it again. So there you go. That will get you running. And you can repeat that process as often as you want. It's not really going to cause any damage that I've ever seen. And it does get you going quickly. But wouldn't it be nice just to turn the key and have it actually start? So let's have a look at making that work. So what happens with this motor, it's a bit notorious for it, is the valve clearance gets a bit loose. And when that happens, it's not hitting this automatic decompression type of thing that allows these big motors to turn over fairly easy. So by pushing the flywheel backwards until you're back past the compression stroke kind of thing, you give it room for the flywheel to start turning. And as soon as it has a bit of momentum, it's going to start, as long as your battery is not bad. But we're going to see if we can get this to start just by turning the key and not having to fool around with having to push the flywheel backwards. Now, it's not that much of an inconvenience. And even after you've adjusted this, after about a year, it's going to come out of adjustment again. For whatever reason, that adjustment just doesn't seem to hold. But let's have a look at it. So we're going to take the cover off of here so we can get easier access and get a good look at things. All right, so step one was to get the cover off. So we got the engine cover out of the way. I've now removed the spark plugs, so there's no compression. We can easily turn the flywheel here. And this one side has the fuel pump on it. So we're disconnecting that line from the fuel pump, and I've pulled this one off of here just to get it out of the way, so I know I'm not going to have an issue with it. And I did install a valve on this fuel line the last time we changed the fuel filter. It's just handy to have it there for occasions like this. All right, so let's take our first cover off here and see what we find. All right. Yes, very old school of me. I still use ratchets. I do like to feel the tightness of these things rather than using a power tool. So I haven't done this before. So we're doing this for the first time together. Yeah, there's bound to be some oil under here. I am seeing a little bit of dripping. But yeah, came off nice and easy. Not that much oil. Okay, now I want to get our piston down to the bottom of its stroke. And that's going to give me my ability to check clearances here. So I've got a nice long screwdriver here, and I feel that going down, and you can see the movement there, and I can see that one. I can see the play there. Wow. You know, I just don't see it. Okay, so from what I understand, there's supposed to be 5 thou clearance in there. And I have that there. All right. Tell you what. Let's take off the other side and see if there's a difference there. Well, I hope you guys have been enjoying today's video, and if you have, I'd really appreciate the like, and I'd love to have you subscribe to the channel. And don't forget, if you got any comments, suggestions, anything like that, I'd love to hear from you. All right, let's get back to work. So we have the fuel pump disconnected there. It's just a vacuum pump, I believe. So there's our screws out of there. Set this aside. Now, I got a feeling that one right there is really loose. Yeah, there's a loose one there. This side is definitely out of whack. Yeah, look how loose that one is. Okay, so we need an Allen wrench for there and an open end wrench to get on there. Let's get our tools and we'll see about making this adjustment. Okay, so There is my 5 thou shim. All right, I believe that has that side done. Okay, so I think we have the clearance right on there now. So we'll get everything reassembled here, and then we'll try starting it. All right, folks, we got everything put back together. Fuel pump is hooked back up. Spark plugs are in. Let's see what happens. We're going to be very careful here. Well, that's a good thing. Let's try it again. Nope, still something not quite right. All right, we're going to call this job a fail. So we'll have to look into this a little bit farther. Let's try my normal little fix here. So as you can see, that works. Now, is it possible my battery is a bit low? So I've got a trickle charger in here. We'll pull the extension cord down and plug this in for overnight, and we'll see what happens tomorrow morning. All right, we've got the battery tender plugged in. Well, that was disappointing, but not everything works every time. All right, we'll see you in the morning. Well, good morning, folks. So we've had the battery sitting here on charge overnight on the battery tender trickle charger. And let's see what we have for voltage. Now, from what I understand, on a 12-volt battery that's working properly on a full charge, you should see something a little over 13 volts. Okay, we've got 13.2. All right, let's hit the ignition and see what happens. Okay, here we go.
I know everything hasn't been quite right with me.
So we've still got a problem. I think I figured out what I've done wrong. So let's get these valve covers back off, get the spark plugs out, and we'll have a look. Well, folks, I went back and had another really close look at this. I got thinking about it last night, and I was thinking, you know, maybe I did not have the piston in the right spot at top dead center to check this, but I don't know. I had it out, took the spark plugs out, and checked everything. And I reset, even though I was thinking it's right, I reset it anyway. And just took the settings right out and then reset. And I now am quite sure that I am good. And I am at top dead center there. You can tell just by putting a screwdriver down the hole that the spark plug goes in. And as you turn your flywheel, your screwdriver comes out, and as soon as it stops going out, that's when you're at top dead center, and that's where, and you'll have just a little bit of play in there, So I'm quite sure I've got it in the right spot. So we'll get our valve covers back on, get our pump hooked back up, and then we'll see what happens. We'll try it again. I'm not really expecting to find any difference in the way it starts, but what the heck, let's give it another go. Okay, I'll bring you right back. All right, folks, we're ready to try this again. All right, here we go. All right, here's the big test. Will it happen a second time? So we're working. Just to kind of recap what I was doing there, I was suspicious that I wasn't quite in the right position for the pistons. So I wanted to make doubly sure that I was at top dead center. So I did that, took the covers off, took the spark plugs out and that kind of thing, and then started checking the gap. And I thought I was actually pretty close, but just to be sure, I undid that setting completely. So what you're targeting for on this, from what I have found, is 4 thousandths of an inch on both intake and exhaust valves, which I thought was a little bit unusual. Usually the exhaust valve might be a little bit bigger, but to get to that, I targeted for 5, and your settings do change as you tighten up that jam nut. So I targeted for 5, tightened up the jam nut, and that worked very nicely. It gave me a 4. So that's great. Now this thing is just going to be that much easier to get ready to run. All I have to do is come out, have a seat, turn the key, and away we go. So that was a fun little game. I'm glad we got it working. And that pretty much takes care of our maintenance issues. So we'll get the cover back on this, get it put away. We won't need it for a couple of more days, and then go on to the next job. And the next job is going to be going down to the Road to Nowhere Trail and checking out the campsite, because we need to start thinking about putting up our building there. All right, folks. So thanks very much for watching. If you've got any comments, suggestions, anything like that, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I always try to get back to everybody that comments, and I appreciate your feedback. So remember to stay safe out there, be good to each other, and we will see you out on the trails the next time.